I would pick him to beat. If he'd have beat Poirier the second time, I'd pick Poirier to win the third time because McGregor wouldn't be as interested. But because he's coming off a loss, I think he's more motivated and he's more likely to win the next one around. I think he took Poirier a little lightly because he stopped him so early the first time around. And I don't think he credited Poirier with being a different animal, or at least being as, I mean, obviously he's got, great coaches in his corner, like Mike Brown. I don't think he credited Poirier with his adaptability to be able to find a way to beat McGregor. So he just went back to I'll just counterpunch with my left. I'll come over his jab and catch him with my left. Because that seemed to be the only and the main game plan, which is what left his lead leg vulnerable. And then you go back to the first fight, and the first, 30 seconds or so, he's doing the long karate stance. He's got a hop side kick and a spinning kick. I think he goes back to that version. I think we see him lighter on his feet. We see him much more of a mixed martial artist instead of a counter puncher. And I think he's going to be able to cut the octagon down against Poirier with that hop side kick. Slide it into his left hand. There are a lot of techniques that he just neglected. And what was weird is after their second fight, it was almost like people were like, well, that's who McGregor is now. Right. It's like he doesn't know the kicks anymore. Like somehow he'd forgotten all of that. It's like it's still there. He just chose not to use it. Like he chose to be a heavy front foot counter puncher because he expected to stop him in the first minute. And I think he just underestimated Poirier. And I think this time around he'll be on his game. He'll be fighting at range. He'll use his kicking. But I also think we'll see more grappling out of McGregor, and that's always something that's been underestimated. You even go back and watch what he did to Max Holloway with a knee injury. Took him down 3 times, 3 different takedowns. He's got very good grappling skills, and I think we might see the two ends of his game this time instead of just the boxing in the middle. I think Poirier's been very much the same fighter all the way through his career. I feel like there's more depth to McGregor's game, and he's able to draw on more skills. It's just a case of applying them on the night, and that's where Poirier had him beat. I think it's a very competitive third fight. I'm very interested to see it, and I think I'm leaning towards McGregor slightly, but that's not in any way to devalue Poirier and his chances, because he is an excellent fighter. There's no doubt.
They're one apiece, but when Conor knocked out Dustin, that was a long time ago. So the ability to take a shot for Dustin is a little more improved. We saw he took the shots against Conor the first time. But I got to say, I respect Conor here. You got to listen. I know a lot of people, some of his antics, whatever. I can't say anything. My God, my antics were out of control. But you got to respect what he's doing here, because I know personally, to walk back into an octagon and fight somebody that just knocked you out cold and left you on the canvas, to fight that person again immediately afterwards without getting a tune-up fight, without getting a warm-up fight, get somebody a little bit lower to boost your mojo, to get your confidence back. That takes a lot of balls, so you got to respect what Conor's doing here. I mean, they've both knocked each other out. They both have tremendous skills. I think because of the momentum, because of the recent knockout, maybe you lean towards Dustin, but you can never underestimate Conor McGregor, as we know. And he's a very wealthy man. He's got untold riches. But the one thing you can't buy is a UFC championship. But still, the point I'm saying is he's going to be motivated for this fight, because you cannot buy respect. You have to earn it. And the way he earns it is going out and beating Dustin Poirier. Listen, I respect what Conor's doing. You got to respect Dustin as well. It's going to be a tremendous fight, and it could go either way.
Man, I definitely think Dustin showed a lot last fight. And I see him maintaining that. And, Conor getting tired again. I'm sure he's training and all this, but I don't know what he's gonna focus on. The calf kicks aren't that big of a deal, and we'll see. I mean, his old way of fighting. I saw videos where, when he was against Jose, the way that he moved, but he was also 10 pounds lighter at featherweight. I mean, we're gonna rock with USA on that one. And South Florida, that's Dustin Poirier. I think he gets it done in the trilogy.
Conor looked good in that fight. He looked fast. He looked focused. He looked sharp. Dustin was, landed the bigger shots and put his lights out. But, I don't think there's a lack of motivation from Conor. He looked good going into that fight. I'm a big fan of both of them. Really like both of them. So you know, I'd like to see Conor win. I'd like to see Conor win, and then, you know, who does he fight next?
You know, we know Conor has the skills and the mindset and the ability to beat Dustin Poirier, because that Conor that we saw in there, that's the worst version we've seen in quite some time. We know Conor knows how to deal with leg kicks and his movement and stuff like that, but you know, I've seen a lot of people on that side of the fence for Conor saying, and some guys from his camp saying he really didn't take that fight serious. He thought he would just steamroll through Dustin and, you know, didn't kind of do what got him to the dance in the first place. So I think you're gonna get a better version of Conor. I think the real question is, how bad does Conor McGregor want this? You know, showing up to a fight on a yacht in Gucci pajamas, and you know, he just sold his whiskey company he made another probably $150 million. So it's like, what's the motivation now? So if the motivation is his legacy, then we're gonna get a really, really good Conor McGregor. If it's not, you're gonna get the similar result. But I don't think you're gonna see the result of Conor being so heavy-footed, traditional boxer stance, eating leg kicks, not being able to deal with them. So I think Dustin's gonna have to find another way to win.
I think it's the same as the second fight. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I still think that. I think that Dustin Poirier should be the favorite. I feel like that's rightfully so. However, what I do know about Conor is that he is very intelligent, and everybody can make mistakes, right? I think he did get too into the boxing. You know, he's training for. You cannot perfect both. You can't be perfect in both. And when you fight Dustin, you've got to be perfect. And I think he had just gotten a little too distracted by the money in boxing and, you know, all of that. And he thought, well, if I have the great hands, I'll beat him in that department. But then he got the legs kicked off him. So, look, if he can fix that calf kick, this goes back to a 50-50 fight. He looks great in the first round. He hurt Dustin. I thought he might. I was like, ooh, this might be early night, and he might get it done. It's a coin flip. It really is a coin flip.
I think one of Conor's biggest strength is he overwhelms his opponent with his pressure, with his presence, you know, with all the information that he gives his opponent's brain, you know, all that stuff that he does, the kick, the talking, all that. He overwhelms his opponent, and a lot of them, they fold under pressure. But Poirier, he stays sharp, and that was a real testament of how good he is, you know. It was amazing, and now it will be interesting to see how Conor can come back from it. I believe Conor can come back from that loss. He's a kind of fighter, I believe he fueled himself on confidence. You know, like when he's confident, that's how he perform at his best. And he like to act confident, you know, like fake it until you make it, and he play a role that he's very confident. Maybe deep down inside he's very scared, but I believe he fueled himself into of that, you know, of that confidence, of that to be loved or hated by the fans, the attention. And now it will be interesting to see how he's gonna come back from it. But I believe in Conor. I believe he's gonna come back from that. I believe he's capable of overcome that obstacle.